Hey guys, welcome to Ringsiders. We are joined by the one and only Levi Shapiro. How you doing?
I'm doing well, mates. Thanks for having me, and glad to be joining the podcast from across the pond.
Man, it's our pleasure, and we're going to say it for the third time now because we can get it on the recording. That backdrop is incredible, right, Callum?
Yeah, I like I said, production values by the guests once again better than ours. Always showing us up. You can barely even tell that's a green screen. I'm blown away.
You know what with the technology modernly, they bring in all sorts of good things, and like timeless Levi Shapiro, I'd like to bring the classic to the future, and I'm doing it with this backdrop.
Hang on a minute, that's a green screen thing.
Yes, Jamie.
Oh, that's not. I guess it does look real.
It does, right?
I legit thought that was real. I genuinely did. That's amazing. That is incredible.
Jamie's not going to get over that. He'll be sat downstairs later going, "That wasn't real." I'm like, "No, Jamie, it was a green screen."
Technology is not my strong point, Levi. So I mean, I'm totally blown away right now. It's.
I'm definitely there myself. I'm an old soul, but I've got to update myself in the modern era.
I love it, man. Now, obviously, I pre-warned you, so we're going to get it out of the way. We're going to talk. Pollo said we have to.
Oh yes.
Really, really put her over. So, please tell us how wonderful Pollo is.
Well, I wouldn't be sitting here on this podcast without you guys, without Pollo. They've just been a wonderful wealth of knowledge across many platforms, right? Obviously, with the drag extraordinaire that they are. And then, like I said, when I met Pollo, I was at a wrestling show in San Francisco. And just to hear them like throw around like a name like Don Kernoodle or something, you know what I mean? Like nobody on the scene understands who the hell that is. And then I have this tall drag queen just talking about 1985 Mid-South. It's like they have the knowledge, and it's wonderful to see just a casual modern day fan have those kind of insights, because they definitely don't see that a lot.
Absolutely. I think Pollo is one of the most positive people in the wrestling community right now, especially on Twitter. You can so happy to be doing what they're doing. Like I know they've just started working for is it the one that Raj Giri runs? Is it ProWrestling.net?
I think it's Wrestle Inc.
That's the one.
Yeah. Wrestle Inc.
Getting featured with the PWI and stuff. It's just really good to see good people doing good things in the wrestling community. And Pollo, like you said, showing up everywhere at the moment with the wrestling events. Effie's Big Gay Brunch.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of anyone more fitting to do the MC work for Effie's Big Gay Brunch. I'll be the host. Brilliant. Hopefully that's just the start of many, but we did say we'd put them over. So Pollo, here we go. And Pollo's always telling me she can't believe I've got the audacity to be heterosexual.
Lovely.
Absolutely love Pollo. There we go. I think we've done our contractual agreements there.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Look, that's ticked off. But you mentioned like Mid-South, talking with Pollo about that. I get that kind of vibe off you. Like there's an old school vibe to you. Is that very much your genre?
Oh, 100%, and I'm a young guy. I'm only 30 years old, but being from San Francisco with the Cow Palace, just such rich wrestling history, right? And as a young one, I would rent like VHS tapes from the store of Coliseum videos and mainly heavy WWF, right? And I would watch them and I'd love it. And then as I got older, into the early 2000s with Ring of Honor and stuff, the style was changing and it wasn't as story driven, maybe even character driven. And so I just started researching older stuff and, Terry Funk, and I became a member of the Cauliflower Alley Club, and it's a rich history. And just like the more history that I learned was the more wrestling that I started to really absorb. And then once I found like 1982 Mid-Atlantic, I was just stuck, obviously the tape trading days kind of died down a bit. So I was in the torrents realm of wrestling and the wrestling community, and not just leeching torrents, right? Where I'm actually sending different videos across to different people. They're sending me ones in return. So I have the entire year of 1982 mid-Atlantic. It just kind of sparked everything. So I said, no, there's nobody doing this classic thing. This was really before the Revival were really on the scene.
Yeah.
And so I said, let's get some satin jackets and let's be the old school guy, because it's not around and it's been a nice journey.
So you said that, when you, back in the day, I think we all did, maybe not Jamie, but I discovered like Ring of Honor through torrents. And I found out about PWG through torrents and TNA even, were you one of those guys as well where, you found out these old school promotions? Did you manage to find like 1980s wrestling on torrents? Because I never found any.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It started very casual, like WWE 24/7 came out.
Yeah.
And it was like the on-demand kind of thing, pre-network.
Yeah.
And so they would throw up old territory stuff, or do you remember that show, The Legends of Wrestling? Like they had the round table.
Yeah.
Oh, those were
Love
incredible, man. I still go back and watch those. And just like hearing the stories of how they would manipulate people's minds, or natural heat, and all that stuff excited me, man. Like, I'm not a gymnastics person or anything, I'm not the most athletic, but I've always enjoyed the theatrics. I would always love to have been like an actor, but I could never remember lines in school. I could never like be in a play because it was always improvisation for me. So in the era of, breaking the kayfabe now, right? Because everybody lets it be so out there.
Yeah.
They call their matches and they spent hours before this and that and planning it. And I can't remember shit. I'm sorry if I can't curse.
Curse all you want, man. Curse all you want.
Okay, cool. I can't remember that stuff. And so a lot of the times it would just end up me with improvisation, and so going into a lot of that stuff is what really drove me to it. With the torrents, it was the next thing in line, right? Yeah. After the WWE thing, I wanted to find more. I wanted to find whatever I can, really, because now I realized that there was territories, and each territory had a different style.
Yeah.
You go to Florida, it's bloody. You even go up to New York, they're big guys, big men. It was the giant territory. You go down to Texas. Texas had 5 territories. Like, all this stuff excited me, and being in one of the main territories with Roy Shire, it was like, this is it. This is what really, I'm wearing a Dusty Rhodes shirt, a Bruiser Brody hat. It's just what I live,
Yeah. No, I'm totally the same, dude. I'm thankful for the WWE Network, because I can sit and I'm a big old school fan myself, and the thought that I can just go back and I can sit and watch Mid-South and things like that, which to a guy from the UK was never accessible back in them days. So for me, like yourself, being an old school guy, it's an absolute thrill just to sit there. I interviewed George Napolitano earlier tonight.
Oh, I credit him fully for everything.
Yeah. He's been on a few times. He's a bit of a regular with us now. He came on early tonight. And I was just sat in awe listening to him. He was telling me about working with the Von Erichs in Texas. He's coming back in a couple of weeks. He's going to tell me about Mid-South and things like that. So I'm totally with you on that, man. It's just it's the greatest time for me ever is the territory days.
His books. Have you ever seen his photography books?
Yes.
Was it like a pictorial history of wrestling?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I had one of those when I was younger, and I never really knew what it was. To me, it was just the wrestling book with all these pictures.
Yeah.
And they had like 5 or 6 like full colored image, and I always had that book. And as I got into wrestling, people kept asking, like, well, what drew you to wrestling? Right. Obviously, I would watch WWF on Saturday or Sunday mornings and stuff. But that book was always something that I never really thought about. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to find this book again. And I never knew the name of it or who did it. And I found out it was George Napolitano. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Well, at Cauliflower Alley one year, George Napolitano was there and he was in the locker room. And I went up to him and I said, man, it's so surreal to be able to talk to you, but much less say that you're probably the reason that I'm standing here right now.
Yeah.
Without those pictures, I maybe would have, and that's such a driving force for the timeless Levi Shapiro character, is to help educate, because who inspired Macho Man Randy Savage to say, "Oh yeah"? Who inspired Shawn Michaels to do the flip over into the corner? Who inspired those people to wrestle? It's a continuous evolution. And I'd hate to see, in some ways, I'd hate to see WWE fully recreate history, right, as they like to do. At the same time, I want to educate these younger talents that wrestling didn't start in 1984. Matter of fact, it was around for decades before.
Yeah, man.
Plenty of things to learn from it.
Speaking of that, I've actually just been watching on, I think it was posted on Reddit, Squared Circle. It was Lou Thesz and Buddy Rogers, and just a short clip of those two working. I mean, the things that we're doing in 1950 for the NWA World Championship, you could do it now and it would still work. Like some people
with modern updates.
Yes.
That's what you have to have a little bit of modernization to,
of course, to
get the attention span.
Yes, the attention span for sure, but the fundamental is still there, isn't it?
Yes,
and
100%.
It's I just love seeing it and thinking, wow, those guys could work. And I hate breaking the fourth wall with it, but they could work. They knew what they were doing in the ring. They knew how to make it look real, and they knew how to get a reaction. And it wasn't overly athletic stuff. It was impressive, but it wasn't having to do so much that, you as a fan, sometimes you watch it and you can't really keep up with what's going on. You can't remember the last move. So,
I
love it.
That's where like slowing down comes in with a lot of these guys, and I'm a TV wrestler, I wrestled for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood on the United Wrestling Network and stuff. And, I always tell these guys, it's like, if you get an armbar, right? Snatch the armbar in. If you're already going to a hammerlock within 5 seconds, the crowd at home, they haven't had a chance to register it, much less the people that are filming it, much less the people in the production booth, because you got to think there's 7 cameras or something. So I'm always thinking about those things, that you need to let things resonate. You need to let things go. And there's a difference between like fast pace and then moving too fast, because you want a quick pace, but it needs to be, it's an ebb and flow, and if it's going too rocky, you're not going to know what the hell's going on.
What I love is you're only 30 years old, but if I was to just be interviewing you now with my eyes closed, I'd imagine I'm talking to a 30-year veteran. Like, I love that what you're saying is something that maybe someone who's wrestled for 30 years would be saying. It's absolutely spot on the money. And I'm glad there's people in the business who are, like you said, you're only young, you're only 30, but still have that old school mentality. And there's only maybe a handful of people doing that. So it's good to see.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's I definitely sometimes kick my own ass because, I've been wrestling for about 10 or 11 years too. And like, well, why am I not signed? Why am I not in a major scale or something? And it's just not my time. I look to Adam Pearce for a lot of influence, because same thing. Adam Pearce was doing this kind of old school style in the mid 90s, early 2000s, while everybody else was doing so much crazier shit. And he stuck to the guns with it. So, if I were to really want to be in the wrestling business that I think I truly love, I probably wouldn't be able to, because it's gone, But to live in this modern world and to carve out my own niche, I take a lot of pride in that, because like you said, a lot of people don't understand these things. They don't understand how to like, they know how to work, right?
Yeah.
But through the decades of training, a lot of little things get lost that I study books. I watch wrestling constantly. I listen to podcasts all day, and from every aspect, and that's really where the people need to do it, because now they're only thinking of the wrestling inside the ring. They're not thinking about the referee. They're not thinking about the crowd even, they're just thinking oh, this is cool. I saw this happen over there. I'm going to do this cool move. All right, well, what's next? Or what leads to that cool move? You know, where you go after that?
Yeah, I know what you
That's
mean.
something.
I was watching a compilation video the other day on YouTube of the little things that Bret Hart does in matches that, you know, people really don't realize how good he was. Even down to taking a turnbuckle bump where he gets thrown into the turnbuckle, and instead of just staying there or not selling, he sells his back like he's just been shot and falls down
Yeah.
to one knee and like
Every time.
every
Yep.
time. And I was like, you don't realize as a kid how good he is. And then when you're older, you appreciate the little things he did are what made you a fan of him. It's
100%. 100%. Any attack, like, I mean, the frontward one that Bret Hart always takes is just nasty.
yeah.
So nasty. And I took it one time. I had bruises on my biceps for weeks.
Oh.
But when you take it, you see so many people take it and then they're like, okay, now I'm here. And I'm waiting. Nah, man, you hit it. Oh, and then maybe you could even come back to it. You know what I mean? Like, so many little things that can go so far, but too many people are thinking about clothesline, big elbow drop. Now I got to get this thing in. And like,
I tell you who is good. Zach Gibson is another one, you know, in NXT.
Yeah.
He's good at these little things, and he always has been, even when he wrestled in the UK. When he throws someone off into the ropes, if they're going to come back with a reversal, he'll often go down to one knee as if he's pushed them off too hard, which gives them a reason for being able to counter when they come back. Instead of just throwing them off, standing there and then taking a bump, he gives them a reason. He goes down to one knee as if he slipped a bit. And I'm like, even little things like that are just beautiful.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, because the force off of the ropes, you know?
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible.
Little things like that is, you don't really realize as a kid these things, but you're not meant to. You're not meant to realize, and that's the art of it. Is you're not meant to realize these things. You're meant to be subtle. But when you're older and you look at wrestling as an art form, you think, oh, Jesus Christ, these guys are on another level.
Totally. And you know, I always credit the British style for that. Very, very in-depth motions. You know what I mean? To the joint manipulation and stuff like that. But see now too, it's like MMA, right? When MMA came around, it was a tournament of mixed martial arts. And that was White Tiger Kenpo karate, wrestling, judo, you know. Now MMA is a style. MMA is a style of fighting, and it's too much. It's too mixed. So now strong style, or too many people are trying to bring the small aspects of European with the strong style of Japan, with the hokiness of Memphis. And it doesn't always work, you know, because that's where it was. Each spot had its own little thing that made it.
What's the latest trend on the indies at the moment? Everybody's like, oh, what's your gimmick? Oh, I'm a shooter.
Shooter, yeah.
The shooter gimmick is the new trend in indie wrestling, and it works for a lot of people. There's a guy, Yo-Yo, I'm sure you've heard of. He's the great shooter style, because that guy is a shooter. He's an MMA. He's got a huge MMA background, really good. But it's like some people nowadays just think, well, I don't really have a gimmick, so I'll just be a shooter. And it's like, well, can you shoot? Can you do it? Can you make it look good? Maybe not, but
or even know what a hooker is. You know what I mean? Because there's a shooter and a hooker, and I maybe like less than 10 hookers left in the business. You know.
Very true. Now you mentioned obviously championship wrestling as well. I mean, how has the experience been working there?
Oh, it's fantastic, honestly. You know, Dave Marquez has been around for decades and so many talents come through his fingertips, you know, and for the style that I've really learned to enjoy, it's a great place to hone. You know, I've been there for 5+ years. I started there as a tag team when me and the Classic Connection with my old tag partner, Buddy Royal. And then, you know, out of the pandemic coming into the no crowd era, it teaches you, I mean, if you get a contract, you're going up to these major promotions. The same thing. You know, the cameras are the same way. They're going to teach you how to walk the same method that you would if you were to go to WWE, if you were to go to AEW. And I've seen both, you know, I've seen both companies and how they interact and operate. And it's the same way. So it's really a great way to learn how to work to get to the next level. Even New Japan is a TV style, right?
Yeah.
The cutting of the cameras is a little bit different, but it still has the same aspects of trying to feed and sell for the cameras while building into a live crowd, with especially with crowds coming back, you know. So essentially, it's invaluable knowledge that I've gained, and I hope to be able to bring it anywhere that I can. I like to travel outside of the country as things are opening back up, you know. I was just about to try to not move, but go to Japan right before the shutdown of everything, you know. So like setbacks and whatnot, but then just trying to recalculate and come back off of that. And I credit a lot of it to what I've learned in my time at Championship Wrestling.
Yeah. Saying that as well, I mean, obviously, is the UK on the list to get over here?
100%. There's so many people I want to go just even train under over there and just to experience it, you know.
I thinking about it, there's a guy you need to train with if you get the chance, Dean Allmark.
Oh yeah.
I can imagine Dean and you would be able to do something pretty good.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, you know. And just as in, that's an untapped market for me too, because they like the UK still understands the importance of wrestling. You know, Tim Thatcher's from my area, you know, and I was very, very lucky to break in with him and do some training sessions with him early on. And he stuck to the gun so much, you know. He's like, no, watch this, Levi, you know, watch some Marty Jones, watch I'm slipping on
Johnny
the name.
Saint.
Yes, Johnny Saint, thank you. And just seeing like, okay, well, these guys look like, you know, like dads, you know.
They do.
But don't mistake it, you know, because they'll curl you up into a ball and make you scream, you know.
That's the best part of old school British wrestling is it just looks like somebody's dad who's gone to play a little bit of pool at the pub and have a pint with his mates, play a bit of darts, but he's actually a badass wrestler who's like gonna tie you up and make you tap out. That's the best part of it. We weren't ever body guys, but you know, they were good wrestlers, good shooters.
Phenomenal wrestlers at that, you know.
Yeah.
And then even like Kendo Nagasaki, right?
Yeah.
With like an extreme character aspect behind it, but still getting in there and grounding and pounding.
I met Kendo Nagasaki back in 2012, and it was at a show just down the road from here. And I tell you, that guy, even in his older age, still lives the gimmick. He showed up in a limousine and came out, didn't speak to anyone, not even the promoter. He had somebody who spoke for him.
Wow.
And when I spoke to the promoter afterwards, he said he didn't say one word during the whole thing. His person spoke for him, and then he left in the limousine.
Did he have the gimmick on too?
The whole gimmick, nobody saw underneath.
Beautiful.
It was amazing. It was something to behold. I'd never seen somebody stick to a character so well. There wasn't even one word from him. He just stuck with it. I thought, fair play, good for you.
Wow. Yeah, credit to the man for still being able to pull it off.
Yeah.
That's it, man. That's it. Obviously, speaking of characters, I know someone you're familiar with. I think you've teamed with him. What's it like being working with outlandish Zicky Dice?
The outlandish one himself. Oh, what a character he is, man. You know, he's gotten me in some extremely interesting situations over the years. I miss him dearly as he just moved away from my area to Georgia. But what a character, you know, and he is a constant hustler, you know. He's the main reason that I have all this. I'll say that, you know. During the beginning of the pandemic, he got his Twitch show, and he wanted me to help him out because, you know, Zicky's one of those guys that just understands how to be a hustler and a character and stuff, right? But then I'm always over here telling him about wrestling stuff, and so it was two different minds clashing off each other all the time, which was great because he would kind of teach me how to be more in the know and more online and more content and push it and get out there. And I would say, okay, well, here's how you're going to go out and wrestle. This is what you should do as your outlandish character. You know what I mean? Do this spot. This might be outlandish, but let it sit. Let it resonate. Don't need to, you know, go too quick. And so he's one of my best friends. I miss him dearly. I was a bachelor in his wedding, or whatever those word, groomsmen, I guess.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so it's great to see that he's been taken off on Twitch. I think I was just watching his Twitch stream before we got on our call. And, you know, I wish to see him capitalize the market right now and bring this outlandish character in. Because you know what? I think he can transcend wrestling. Yeah. You know, he doesn't need to be an in-ring performer. He can be a wrestling personality and still be on the scene, you know? What a wonderful quirky man that is.
It reminds me of Danhausen in a lot of ways, where I feel like Danhausen would work outside of wrestling. You know, you know, he could be a character on a talk show, for example, or a late night show. He just seems like he's good at wrestling, but he could be outside of wrestling too.
Yeah,
and like you said, he kind of transcends it in a way where he could be a personality in anything. He could be hosting a TV show, for example, and he'd fit in. He could be acting in a movie. And to be fair, I kind of get a bit of a Zicky vibe from yourself. Like, I don't know if it's just your accent or the way you talk, but I do get a Zicky vibe from you as well. And, you know, you can definitely tell you two are friends, and that is.
You know what's funny is we have the same birthday.
Really?
Yeah, he's like a year or two older than me, but it's on the same day. And I was like, "Hey, my birthday's on Tuesday," and he goes, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, my birthday's on Tuesday. You want to come hang out?" He's like, "Are you ribbing me?" I was like, "No." He's like, "My birthday is on Tuesday." I go, "What? No way!" So it's like we're birthday brothers, you know. And kayfabe, first name same, you know, and everything like that. So it's like we're very similar in a lot of ways. And for as similar as we are, we're very different, right? Because his style is so outlandish and so very Adrian Street in a way, right? Not as
yeah,
but definitely like outlandish, you know. Definitely one of my best buds, you know.
Yeah, we spoke to him. It'd be last year now, and we didn't know what we were getting because it was like 1 minute it was in character, next minute it wasn't. I'm guessing the two are very similar.
Yeah, you know, and that's what I've been saying this a lot lately. That like I loved kayfabe, right? And when I broke in, I tried to be that heel.
Yeah.
Constantly. I mean, you'd see me around, I'd tell you to fuck off, you know, and but there's a fine line that you have to do that nowadays in the modern era, right? Because if people really think you're an asshole, they won't support you. They won't even support the company. If they really say Levi Shapiro, like, I don't like that guy, he's a fucking asshole on Twitter. That's different than MJF getting heat on Twitter for being an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, so I try to find the fine balance of being this egotistical classic wrestler, you know, because ideally the timeless entity is where I wanted to be. I wanted to be like Levi Shapiro has been in wrestling since 1908. And if you go up in the history books, you'll see me standing next to Don Leo Jonathan, standing next to the Destroyer in the Tokyo Dome, you know, shit like that. And that's kind of the same where that if I were to be the constant asshole, I wouldn't be able to get on programs with like you guys and really kind of show what I know or show what I've learned and what I can offer to a promotion in that realm. Yeah. Bring me in as a bad guy and I will make the people love to hate me rather than, I don't like this guy.
That's a really good point, actually. You've got to, you know, have that balance because I won't say who because I don't want to break the illusion, but some of the biggest assholes we've spoken to on the wrestling scene, they've been so nice, like before and after the interview. During the interview, they'll say, right, you know, I'm going to bust your balls, I'm going to make you cry, and I'll go along with it. So will Jamie, we'll get rinsed. But then before and after, they're just the nicest people. They go, oh yeah, was that good for you? You know, and you're like, that's a really nice person in real life, but then they just turn it on for the interview. Or when they're doing a match, they'll turn it on, which you're expected to do. But you can tell they're actually a decent person. And I think that's how you make a fan, is to know you're a decent person, but to know you're very good at your job, which is to be an asshole.
Yes.
And, you know, that's what I feel like Zicky does, for example. You know, the guy is an asshole, but you know he's actually a really caring dude who loves wrestling.
Oh, yeah. And you know, like I said, he's one of my best friends. And so I've seen him to the point where, like, I have seen him break down. I've seen him at his most emotional. And then at the same point, he calls me up and gets me, just coerces me into this shenanigan. Fuck this guy, dude. What the fuck am I? I'm driving down there for some reason. Like, why is this? And that's what it is. And I think that for me, being a bad guy isn't what makes me me. Being this wrestling knowledgeable, ideally, I'd love to be a historian down the line. If you get me a job on the WWE network and call it the territories, and I go, here is Levi Shapiro. I'm here to break down this episode of AWA from March 23rd, 1982. The full episode, and then just kind of go in with like tidbits.
We'd watch that. That.
There's a market for it.
There is.
That would be my favorite program on the network, and I'm not even lying. That would legit be my favorite program.
How the hell do I get involved? How do I get in to do it?
I'll clip this bit of the interview and I'll post it on Twitter for your audition tape. Tag the network and everything.
Please.
Yeah, if you we'll tag Vince as well. I might as well.
Oh, Vince. Yeah, we're close with Vince. We'll make sure he sees it. Yeah.
Vince is my boy.
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned you're a TV wrestler. You did compete AEW Dark. What was the AEW experience like?
It was very interesting, right? As it's a new promotion, right? And definitely in the pandemic, of course, right? And we still didn't know, kind of like the vaccines weren't really out, and my girlfriend was deathly afraid of everything, and so that's cross country for me, right? I'm in California.
Yeah.
And all the way to Jacksonville, Florida is a pretty big thing, and so I had the gloves, I had 2 masks, I had the face shield. I was decked up to the keys there, and I'm sure people thought I was weird. But then when you get there, like, okay, I'm in Jacksonville and I'm an extra, right? And you're seeing all the stars and everything. But there's a shuttle, and the catering is there as an extra. You don't get these things like that at WWE, and WWE is a whole different realm because it's a machine, right? And it's been a machine since 83 when Vince took over or so, and so there's a lot of stuff that's like in place. You don't cross boundaries. You don't do this or that. You can't break that. I think AEW is still trying to find that, and because it's very brand spanking new. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Barely has a scratch on it, kind of thing, and it was interesting because I knew a lot of the people there. I've crossed paths with a lot of the wrestlers on the roster, and even broke in with some of them. Me and Powerhouse Hobbs broke in together.
Yeah,
and so it was great for him to finally get the call, not being an indie darling, right? But still getting, like, how do we get more of that? Because I love the aspect of, if you get over on the internet, they're obviously going to bring you in, but there's so many people that don't do the internet well, or don't care for the internet, that have such an immense amount of talent, and a lot of people getting their just due over there. It was cool. It was cool to get there and then be like, okay, so we have dark matches and hopefully get some good bookings and stuff like that, and I got a tag match, which was cool. I got to show but I'm there to do what I'm there to do. And that's put these guys over, I'm not there to go and be like, all right, Joey Janela, this is what I got it. This is what I want to do. And ideally, right? But no, man, I'm over here. I'm here to make you look good by being good. If you put them in there with guys that don't know how to sell, don't know how to show emotion, much less to a camera, it's not going to do any good. If you get guys that want to go in there and just run spots, what's that going to do for the contracted talent that's going to be there? So I had the aspect of, this is what I'm being paid to do. And they paid well, which was very nice. But I'm here to show the talent that is contracted, the ones that deserve to be in the spotlight. And that's what I went to do. And I thought I did a great job.
God, you even have the old school mentality when it comes to, doing your job, being there to put someone else over, make them look good. You've even got that old school mentality as well, which I feel like is lacking sometimes as well, where it's very much, all right, well, this is my 10 minutes, I need to get all my shit in, when really you could just be doing what you did, where if you make that person look good, they're going to bring you back to do it again and again and again. And that's what I was told by a few people in the back, say, hey man, you sold really good out there, you know what I mean?
that's the kind of stuff that gets you a job.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of stuff that goes. I've gone on record a few times and said this. Too many people want to be in the spotlight, right? I would love to be a world champion, main event of WrestleMania. Of course, right? Why wouldn't you want to be, right? But at the same time, give me the Dolph Ziggler contract. I would gladly be a contract, and I would be a job guy. I would gladly go in there and be the carpenter that I need to be to help people that they sign being an indie darling, right? They got over on the internet, and maybe they're not as good as a wrestler, right? Give me them. I'll make them look like $1 million, and I'll still get paid at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? I don't care. I would gladly. I can buy a house with job money. So be it.
Absolutely. I mean, you're still doing what you want to do. You're still wrestling. You're doing it to the best of your ability, making someone else look good and getting paid.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Who made the WrestleMania 1 match main event? Who made that match?
WrestleMania 1 main event. What was the WrestleMania 1 main event?
I would probably say Cowboy Bob Orton, but
that's valid too, actually. You know what I mean? But the tandem, right? Cowboy Bob and Piper. There'd be no Hogan without Piper.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And if Piper wasn't there in the role to catapult Hulk Hogan as this babyface extraordinaire, there would be no tension. There'd be no draw.
Yeah.
Right? So why can't I be Roddy Piper of the modern era?
Absolutely. I think people forget just how important Piper was to the rise of Hogan. Like you said, I don't think we'd have had Hogan if there was no Piper.
Yeah, and I think very few people could have filled that role. Very few, you know. I think Mr. Wonderful being one of them would have been good too. He had the capabilities to do it. But Piper, man, just fit like a glove. Yep.
No, totally agree. Nobody better than Piper. God rest his soul. Nobody.
And another gem of a human being.
Yes.
Such a dastardly person. Yes. Such a kind soul, man.
Wonderful.
I had the pleasure of meeting him a year before he passed. He did a UK tour, and I got an autograph, a photo with him, and he was the sweetest guy I've ever met in my life. He took time out with every single person in that queue. It wasn't just smile for the camera and go. It took 1 or 2 minutes with every single person having a little chat, which I thought was wonderful. An absolute sweetheart of a man, Roddy Piper.
I love it.
He was. But obviously, before we start to wrap up, first of all, I'd love you to come back because I think there's so much more to talk about.
I want to do a regular thing with you. Like, I get you on every other month or something to just discuss old school wrestling or the indies or something. Because like we haven't done this is the first interview I've done for a week and a half. And sometimes, where you just like, right, got an interview to do tonight. But with yourself, I'm actually buzzing now. I'm excited. Like, so, because you've got one of those personalities where it kind of just makes you, I don't know, I feel hyped now. So.
Yeah, and I love it, man. And that was a big thing when I was talking to Pollo, the same thing. I mean, this is just me. And I've been trying to, get like a Twitch stream up or, kind of like go and do more on my Twitter and, I'm not the most creative at times. Sometimes I just need to get in front of a camera and just start talking, man, because I have this mound of research or knowledge or even opinions. And it's just, I need to dig through it, And so I'd be more than happy to come back and chat, break down stuff or break down a character or a match or, I don't know how I would fend on because I watch modern pay-per-views and stuff and I go, okay, well, here and there. I think some things I could say may help, but there's so many people reviewing modern,
It's why we don't.
Like that. Yeah.
It's why we just interview people and talk about old school stuff.
But we can definitely break in and bring something up, and I'd love to chat more with you fellas.
I'd love to do that too. And I mean, I'm always open to people coming on as well. You're welcome to maybe jump on when I have George Napolitano back. I mean,
I'd love that. I'd love that.
We could do an interview, me, yourself, and George, and talk some old school. So we'll certainly make that happen as well.
Yes, that would be incredible, man.
But before we do let you go, I did doing a bit of research. So there's one guy I wanted to ask you about. Who I know you've been in the ring with. What was it like working with Sabu?
Oh wow. Oh man, I knew this was gonna happen. It was fine, right? And I've heard a lot of horror stories, and then this was like right after his hip surgery.
Yeah.
And before Melissa had her surgery on her leg, and the company West Coast Pro, which is phenomenal. Those guys really helped me out a lot. They believe in me to give me these opportunities to kind of mingle with these guys, right? They brought Sabu in, but then also Facade, right? And it was like a three-way.
Yeah.
Facade knows Sabu super well. That was kind of the angle that the promoter wanted to have. They wanted to put me with Sabu, but kind of protect me in a way also, you know? And so Sabu comes to the building, huge Sabu fan, right? Love everything. Want to be respectful, but then also trying to explain my gimmick, right? And hi, sir, how you doing? We're going to be working together today. He's like, what do you do? I was like, well, I kind of do like an old school throwback kind of character. And he was like, well, what the fuck is that? Well, kind of like a 80s mid-Atlantic style, you know what I mean? I kind of like to go, not much on the wrestling, but kind of like Memphis or, and he's like, okay. And so like Melissa's standing there. It's like, oh, he's like classic, he does old stuff, he's not going to do all this flippy dippy crap or where he's probably going to take care of you. I was like, okay, all right. So then, but in the match, it was really okay. It's like all I really want, I did the claw. It's like, I'd like to get a claw in there if I can.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay. That's cool. And my thought behind it was like, yeah, get a claw, get someone taking a picture of me having the claw on Sabu. And then that's my gift for emotion, but it was cool because, he was kind of out and he was just there for the money, but then we're kind of moving and stuff. And I didn't have to take any of the big bumps. Facade took all the big bumps. It was what it was, I think. I think had it been maybe 5, maybe 10 years earlier, I would have been able to kind of get something out of him, get something to where we can actually build something. But here it was just like, duck the chair. Okay, I'm gonna throw a chair at your face, hit the Arabian face buster, just kind of get it all in for the emotion of it.
Oh, wow.
Not as bad. I've heard some other horror stories, so luckily not that bad.
That is, I had to ask, dude, and I presumed you thought it was going to come at some point. So I thought I'll end on Sabu. I had to get it out there. But like we said, man, it has been an absolute pleasure. I honestly have had so much fun, and we will definitely get you back. We'll work some old school things out. We'll get you on with George. But before you do go, let everyone know where they can find you, social medias, merchandise.
Definitely. Every wrestler in the world's got one, so might as well plug mine. Pro Wrestling Tees. Pro Wrestling Tees /The Loop. No, it's just The Loop, all lowercase, THELOOP. And then at Levi Shapiro on any social media, Twitter, Instagram, twitch.tv/Levi Shapiro. I'm a pizza man by trade also. So I make pizzas on stream, just to kind of fill in a different void that's not wrestling all the time.
I'm going to subscribe now.
Yeah, please do. I've been like I said, I've been kind of here and there with my actual streaming, but I was doing Timeless Tuesdays for a while where I would watch old, and specifically, right? I like to watch wrestling pre-1984. That's just me, and I feel I have a stockpile. So I threw on some old All Japan from 77, Mid-Atlantic. I've got all this stuff stockpiled. So these are the things I like to watch on Twitch.
There we go. Found you. Is that you?
That is me. Come have a slice with me.
You've been watching some 70s All Japan.
Yeah. The 1975 World Open is probably my favorite wrestling tournament ever. It's a who's who of phenomenal, Terry, Dory, Harley, Dick Murdoch, the Destroyer, who's one of my favorites. I'll have to tell you about the time the Destroyer ribbed me on the next time I'm on here.
Dude, tell us now if you've got a spare 5. Tell us.
Okay, all right, yeah. So the Cauliflower Alley Club is it's a place that's just, it's about history, right? And I'll say that It's not as high profile as it used to be, but you still get the chance as a young one to interact and be among the brotherhood, right? And among these wrestlers. Dude, I've shared a beer with Terry Funk. You know, I've met Pat Patterson there. The Destroyer was there, and so I got a mask. And he's on the walker, right? Well, he was. Rest in peace, right?
Yes.
He was there. He was on the walker. I was actually there with Kevin Gill, if you know.
Yeah, we've had Kevin on the show, yeah.
Awesome. So me and Kevin were standing outside the memorabilia room, figuring out where we're going to go next. It's Vegas and everything. And the Destroyer comes walking out in the thing, right? And as he's walking, he trips. And it looks like he's going down, right? So I'm right there springing into action to catch him and help him. And he catches himself and and then he just walks away. And he worked me. He purposely pretended to trip just to make sure that we would freak out. Oh my God, this old man is falling. He knew what the fuck he was doing, and he worked the shit out of me.
You got ribbed. That's awesome.
I got fucking ribbed, bro. I said, what a mastermind, right? What a mastermind that even at 85 years of age or whatever, he still was able to work a worker. Like I could see things like that most of the time. No, he fucking works.
Did you feel accepted to get ribbed by an old school guy?
Kind of, you know. And that's like the beauty of Cauliflower was that you're there as a wrestler, and they're wrestlers. You're among brothers at that point, you know, which is cool.
Yeah,
because they do let fans in, which is a little weird, and it kind of ruins some of the dichotomy of it. But just being there and like I'm sitting at my table, you know, and I'm sitting with Rob Schamberger, who's like a world-renowned artist.
He's awesome.
Pat LaPrade and you know, the artist, not an artist, an author of like many Canadian books and stuff like that. And then I'm seeing Ricky Steamboat, JJ Dillon, Terry Funk, the Destroyer, and I'm among them as a wrestler. Not as a fan, as a peer, exactly. And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, and I credit and I suggest people to look up the Cauliflower Alley Club and to give it a chance.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I follow it on Twitter and everything. I'm like yourself. I'm an old school fan, so it's been a pleasure to be able to talk old school with you tonight and everything else. I'm definitely gonna get you back in a few weeks' time. We'll stay in touch. But for now, everybody, he's timeless. Levi Shapiro, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, y'all. Had a blast.